Welcome back to another edition of State Champs Hockey Time. We are live in the State Champs studios. I'm Jonathon Kidd along with Sean Baligian. Sean, I don't have to edit you this week. We are doing this live.
Yeah, we're doing it live, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. There's so much to talk about, John. That's why we're here today. And playoffs have already started.
Yeah.
We got the dreamy one here himself, Rock and Rye Robbie. So a lot going on the show today.
And look at Robbie right there. Put it back on quick. Put him back on. He has the Rock and Rye.
We are here, the Rock and Rye enthusiast. It's a pleasure. I feel honored to be on here.
What you said right before the show, our demographics?
The key 13 to 16-year-old female demographic. The dreamy one is here, so watch those numbers skyrocket.
Don't worry. I'm sure you'll get a comment from Cheryl from Lincoln Park.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So State Champs Hockey Time is presented by our friends at the Alto Equipment Company. Great supporters throughout the years.
Yeah, we can't say enough about our friends at Alta. So many of our games, certainly Alta's been there all the way. And I mean, like all our sponsors, John, can't say enough. It's so cool to be able to talk this great product up. We can't do it without them.
Before we get going on our playoff preview, just your thoughts so far on the beginning of the playoffs.
Not a lot of huge surprises. I think maybe Cap City was one that kind of raised a few eyebrows. But look, I think it goes to tell you again, John, that the level of play in this state has really jumped up. And there shouldn't be a whole heck of a lot of surprises. And that's a good thing. You want to see the whole thing get bigger for sure.
All right, so we're going to be previewing the regionals throughout the show, and we're going to give out our picks to win the state championship a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, always look forward to that. People certainly will remember that, and they'll tell you when you didn't pick them, no doubt about that. Every now and again, they do remind people that, yeah, you went with them, but more often than not, it's a situation that they tell you when they weren't picked. But it's all in fun, and that's the beautiful thing about this right now, Johnny, is you've got an opportunity for teams out there. Forget what anybody says. You can make your own path, and that's pretty stinking cool about the playoff.
All right, so we're going to begin our regional preview in Division 1. In Region 1, so the regional semifinals are going to be on Friday. Traverse City West will take on Sparta, and Muskegon Reese Puffer will take on Rockford. So let's talk quickly about Traverse City West. This has been, they've been going through a lot the last few weeks, but they're in the regional semis.
Yeah, there was a lot to like about this team even before the terrible accident and injury to Brady Lewis, and certainly everybody's still thinking about Brady. We had a chance to see them up in Traverse City, and the one thing when we saw them is there were pieces. This is a young team, and young teams as the season progressed have the opportunity to, not be so young anymore. Obviously, Brady Lewis being out, that is a motivating factor, but Brandon Myers is leading the way. I really liked Alonso in net. Remember, he
has a beautiful flow. He has a beautiful flow.
Great flow, no doubt about that. I really liked him. So it looks good on TC West right now, this little run that they've had. And as I said, listen, everybody is pulling for those guys. You guys are already champions in our book, to be sure. And
let's talk about Sparta. They just recently cracked your final top 25 rankings. What do you like about Sparta?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've seen them, but, in asking people about them, when you win 10 straight games, I think that speaks for itself. Caden Gleason is a young man. You look at his numbers, I think that speaks for itself. But putting together the type of season that they did and finishing the season the way that they did, look out. Sparta is a team to keep an eye on.
All right, absolutely. And let's go to Region 2. The regional semifinals will be on Thursday night. We have Forest Hills Central taking on Lowell Caledonia, and then Forest Hills Northern Eastern taking on Holland West Ottawa. We have talked a lot this season about Forest Hills Central. What do you like about them?
Yeah, you know what? I think Nemers is a darn good goaltender, and a guy like that, I think he probably is going to save his best for last. John, I said it again. I love their defense core. I think there are multiple guys on their blue line that can certainly cause some trouble. And one of 329 Milocks, a sophomore, this one, Benny, boy, I like his game. He plays hard. Sky's the limit with that guy. But, boy, that guy right there, 24, I really like Grendel, Gibby Grendel. Saw him in the summer. He looked so good when I saw him skating out in Farmington, and he's continued that. It's a very good team. Hey, listen, make no mistake about it, Coach Bissett and the Bird Dogs, they have an opportunity against one of their big rivals to make a statement themselves, and that's what it's all about.
All right, let's go to Region 3. The regional semifinals will actually be next Monday. You had the Eastside Stars in there. Jackson United had a big win on Tuesday night. And, Howell's in there. Howell's been in our rankings throughout the season. Andrew Clyde's been in our Wall Award earlier in the season. Howell's looking like they're going to make a run.
Yeah, you know what? We've talked them up for good reason. I think there's very good depth up front. When you take a look at their numbers, if you watch them play, you see that there are multiple guys that can get you. I think that they've got a darn good goaltender. And Andrew, he was on our list. He's still a guy that can go out and steal a game for you. I really like Hewlett on the blue line. This is a very, very good team, and they've been a top 15 team all year, and I think this is an opportunity for them to get out of the shadow of the other teams in Livingston County. I think a lot of people have been talking up Heartland, rightfully so. A lot of people have been talking up Brighton, rightfully so. But I think this is an opportunity for Howell to get out of that shadow and kind of punch their own ticket, if you will, back to USA Hockey Arena.
All right, we continue in Division 1. In Region 4, the regional semifinals will be tomorrow, but it's looking like a crash course for Clarkston and Heartland to meet in the regional finals. And let's talk about Clarkston.
Yeah, let's start with Clarkston. I think, Johnny, to me, you start with what they have up front. Wade and Croston and Lynch. They've got good goaltending. This is a team that took a step this year. I was at that game last year out in Heartland where Heartland just jumped on them and stayed on them. I don't see a repeat of that. I think Clarkston, another year older. The guys that I mentioned, another year better. So this one's very intriguing to me. Clarkston's been another one of those teams. Make no mistake about it. This has been a team in the top 10 all year long, and there's a reason for that. And when you talk about Heartland, it's championship pedigree. It starts with Ricky Gadwa and his staff, and I've said this all year long, and I stand by it. I've never seen a team at this level move the puck the way that Heartland moves the puck. It's just a blast to watch them play. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ian Costomo. I've said it once. I've said it 100 times.
He's in our player of the year.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players to watch. You tell young kids, see that guy?
Yeah.
Go play like him. Yeah. There's 210 feet in his game to be sure. So.
And what else do you like about Heartland?
Goaltending. Hubenschmidt's come on during the course of the year. I think that's a guy that when I look at a guy like Brady and I say to myself, he's had his moments, but it's starting to come together, and that's what it's all about. So keep an eye on their goaltender, Brady Hubenschmidt. There's a lot to like about Heartland. They're a well-coached team, as I said. If you haven't seen them play yet, watch them move the puck. It really is fun to watch.
All right, we continue in Region 5. This is out on the east side. The regional semifinals will be played next Monday. We've talked a lot about Romeo. We have talked about Chippewa Valley United. What do you like about both of those teams?
Well, with Romeo, I've had them in the rankings a couple different times. In this last ranking, I gave them a tip of the cap for taking care of business in the MAC. I've heard wonderful things about Cyrus in net. I had a couple guys reach out to me very late in the year, John, and say, hey, you might want to consider this guy for the wall. So, you throw it up the flagpole, see what the guys say. Evangelista up front, by all accounts, this is a very good team. And I think all one has to do is look at their resume and where they've been ranked all season. Chippewa Valley, I got a chance to see them a couple different times when we were up in Traverse City.
And they're saying the storm's coming.
Yeah.
Storm's coming.
Well, and you know what? They got a couple guys that can make it rain, in Staskowski and Paperi up front, guys that have been putting up big numbers. So, yeah, this is a great opportunity for them to not only wave the banner, if you will, for their conference, but certainly for CVU as well.
Yeah, so we are now going on to Region 6. The regional semifinals will be on February 22nd. And In this one, we have the M1 Griffins. Obviously, the talk is Detroit Catholic Central. What do you like about the M1 Griffins?
Charlie Price has been a guy that has been really good. I've said this the last couple of years on the show. I think that Coach Fox has done a fantastic job. They're getting it done with Charlie Price. He had 20 goals, 25 assists. I think Butler's their goaltender, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
941 save percentage. You know I'm a stickler for save percentage. So this is a guy, or 911, excuse me. I can't even read my own writing. But this is a situation where, Johnny, you know what? This is a darn good team, a team that's been on the rise the last couple of years. But as you mentioned, when you have to face that machine in Catholic Central, that isn't a good matchup for anybody.
Yeah, just talk quick about CC and just to run the season. They still haven't lost to an in-state team in over 2 years.
Yeah, 49 straight. It's amazing how that worked out. I said it the first show, and I stand by it, and I've had a lot of people kind of come to my way of thinking. This is the deepest they've been up front ever. I mean, it really is. I think certainly in the time since Coach Cal has been there, and I'm going to give a shout out to Coach Cal as far as I'm concerned. When you talk about coaches of the year, I'm always mystified why he never gets mentioned, and I think he deserves some consideration for that. Coaching a lot of these guys up, Matthew in net, I'll tell you,
candidate.
It's not going to be easy for anybody to beat Catholic Central. As I said, each and every year they have a machine. Make no mistake about it. But I think this year in particular, what they can throw at you in waves up front, literally waves, it's going to be tough for anybody to beat them.
In Region 7, the regional semifinals will be on Saturday. We have talked a lot about Brighton. It's Brighton. It's their time of the year. They made it to the state championship game the last couple of years. What do you like about Brighton?
Well, I think you have to start with the guys that we were all talking about, sophomores, and then remember the sophomores became juniors, and then the juniors became seniors. And you're talking about Duff and Petit.
And it's Petit, not Pettit.
Petit, absolutely. Let's throw that out there again. And I'm going to say it again. I think Watkins is a guy to keep an eye on, not only this year but into next year. I think that's a guy that will probably be on any player of the year list. He should be as well. I think this is a different Brighton team when that kid's out there. And the difference between this Brighton team and last year is not just the fact that those juniors are now seniors. I think they got a little more depth up front as well. They can roll close to 4 lines. They've got 3 and a couple pieces. So Kurt Cavisto and Eddie McDonald have done such a great job. Brighton, once again, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they weren't there at the very end at USA Hockey Arena.
And they could have a potential regional final against Northville. Ryan Osemacher's in his second year, and they've taken big leaps in those couple years.
I'm going to tell you what, and I know I said this in my ranking last week, this team's been playing really well. I got a chance to see them a couple times down the stretch, and it's really coming together for this team. We saw them, John, the night before Thanksgiving. Alex McCallum, I don't think enough people are talking about him, quite frankly, on the blue line.
Remember that game against Novi there? He probably played like 50 minutes.
Yeah, the one I was just talking about. Absolutely. The night before Thanksgiving. And Marinoff and Vysotsky are getting it done up front. There's more depth than people give them credit for. Boy, I love that Northville-Novi matchup, though, don't I? I mean, that's just a fun matchup to me.
And they're going to be playing in the regional semifinals on Saturday.
That's the rivalry that I'm talking about. We saw them the night before Thanksgiving, and I love that matchup Saturday in Brighton.
And then in Region 8 in Division 1, you got Plymouth, you got Salem, Livonia, Stevenson. Let's talk a little bit about the Spartans.
I don't think that's going to be a walk for the Spartans. I don't. It helps that they're at Eddie Edgar. Make no mistake about it. I saw them their last game of the year against Matawan, and that looked like a really good Stevenson team. Yeah. And I talked to Coach Mitchell after the game. I said, Dave, this looks like one of your teams. And he just kind of laughed, and we're not there yet. And that's, typical Coach Mitch. But, obviously Hall is a guy that we've been talking about all year. I think Derek Buchanan is a guy that probably deserves a little more love than he's getting. And I'm going to tell you what. Keep an eye on Strobel on defense. I really like that kid's game. He's only a sophomore. I think he has excelled as a sophomore, and he's only going to get better the next couple of years for the Spartans.
All right, so we are going to now make our predictions on who's going to make the Division I Final Four and our winners. This is just me and Sean on this one. Okay. So, Sean, the floor is yours.
All right, so I have Forest Hill Central making it out again, and they get a rematch with Catholic Central, and Wow, speaking of rematches, look at Brighton and Heartland, that epic 722 overtime game last year. I have a feeling that they're going to meet again. And quite frankly, I think the results are going to carry over this year as well. I like Catholic Central over Forest Hill Central. I like Brighton over Heartland. And then I think a repeat as well from last year. I think Catholic Central knocks off Brighton this year. I think this one's going to be close, so Johnny, I really do. If there's one team that can put a charge into the Shamrocks, I think it's the Bulldogs. But again, I just think too much up front for the Shamrocks.
All right, so here's my picks for the Final Four and our champion. It's going to be the same as Sean. It's going to be Catholic Central.
Is it really?
It's really. But there's going to be some differences later in the show.
What does Robbie think?
I don't know. We'll talk to Robbie in a few minutes. He's slamming a third Rock and Rye right now. So Catholic Central is taking on Forest Hill Central. Brighton's going to take on Heartland, and it's going to be a rematch again between Catholic Central and Brighton, and it's going to be Catholic Central again winning the state championship. So Brighton does have the chance. I do feel like we both feel like if there's a team that could take down CC, it could be Brighton.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody, I'm not going to mention any names, and it wasn't a coach from either one of the teams, but I made the comment, I would be really interested to see how this Brighton team, 2024 Brighton, did against 2023 Catholic Central. I think that would be interesting for me, but obviously you got to play 2024 versus 2024. I think Brighton can give them a go, but just too much up front for the Shamrock.
So we're off to a good start here on Hockey Time, the live version of Hockey Time.
I'm still
Sean,
scared.
He's still scared right now.
Scared.
He's still scared, but we do have a lot to get to. So coming up here on Hockey Time, we're going to preview Division II and a whole lot more here on State Champs Hockey Time.
At Alto Equipment, we know when it comes to getting your job completed on budget and on schedule, uptime matters. Alto Equipment has partnered with the biggest names in construction, including Volvo, Leeboy, Sonnebogen, Avant, ASV, and more to provide the state of Michigan with industry-leading service and support. Alto Equipment services all makes and models, and their technicians are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Do you have a big project? Alta Rents has you covered with the most diverse rental fleet in Michigan. Give them a call at 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
Your curiosity takes shape, drawing you into the unknown, where the science and art of tomorrow are waiting for you. You'll find your calling is closer than imagined. The College of Arts and Sciences at Lawrence Technological University has all the technology and tools to make magic. Be curious. Make magic.
Looking for a score, a schedule, a story? MHSAA.com has you covered. Our newly redesigned website has everything you need to follow high school sports in Michigan. And it's optimized for mobile use. Fans can submit scores on a Friday night, check playoff pairings and game times, or read about the student athletes from your community. Your first stop is MHSAA.com. Connect with us online and get everything you need all in one place.
And welcome back to State Champs Hockey Time, the live edition, our playoff preview here. We got through Division One. So, Sean, what do you think so far? You know, are you still scared? Are you still nervous?
Oh, absolutely. This is just terrifying on so many different levels. But no, you know what? It sounds like people have been nice so far, Robbie. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, can we go to Rock and Rye
We're not
Robbie
getting
now
killed
on the
yet?
stage? You know, what do you have for us in the comments?
So Tim Eric wants to know, has Dave ever said that he has a team that was ready?
That's Coach Mitchell. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. No, Coach Mitchell. I think that's part of what makes Coach Mitchell the success that he's been. No doubt about it. You know what? He never settles. But to your point, Tim, you're absolutely right.
And so we haven't heard yet from like Keith from Trenton or Tony from Trenton or like
Well,
a
we
Brent,
haven't
a Brent from Gibraltar.
We've heard from Alan from Trenton. He said, "Let's go Trenton."
Oh,
Trojans."
Tornado Allen.
That doesn't surprise me.
Tornado Allen, man.
Doesn't surprise me.
And so he
So-
said, "Let's go Trojans."
Kate and Bud Bradley said, "Go Marquette."
Oh, we'll see at the third base sometime, huh? Love to get up there to the third base.
Zach Schalick wants to say, "Thanks for doing this, fellas. Awesome stuff."
Thank you.
That's my twin brother over at the Bay City Wolves. Long
Oh,
lost.
is that him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Doppelganger.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so-
that'll be an interesting one. I'm
Anything
intrigued
else
at that
before
one.
we get going here on Robbie?
Well, first of all, I got to give a shout out to KLM Sauce. He said Rock and Rye's the best Fago. So shout out Rock and Rye. But we do have one more question.
All right.
And that is, what are your thoughts on South Lyon hockey at this stage?
I love Coach Gaggs. I like him personally. I think that he's a darn good coach. I think coming in this year, and I think, there's some firepower in there. Mulcahy had a good year. Temple's a heck of a player. To me, this is laying the groundwork for what's going to be next year and the year after that. And it's tough for the guys who are going to be leaving the program, but there are a lot of hockey players out there in South Lyon. And I think you need a guy in there that's going to become engaged in the community, and the boys are going to love him. And I think Coach Gaggs is going to do a heck of a job out there for SLU.
All right, so we're going to continue our preview of the regionals, and we're going to go to Division II, Region 9. The regional semifinals will be played on Saturday. It's more the Northern Michigan teams. Let's talk about Traverse City Central. We saw them up north at the North-South Showcase, and we saw them at the MIHL Showcase.
Yeah, you start with, I always call him the living legend, and he always
Chris Givens.
He always gives me a chuckle when I say that. So there's your chuckle. But great
There he
guy
is. There he is on screen.
in Coach Givens. As you mentioned, we got a chance to see them. Peters is leading the way. One of my favorites out there, McKinney on defense. You remember the great story about Matt McKinney. He's a pretty darn good player as well. Trojans are always a team. You know what you're going to get out of them. They're going to play you hard. So I'm always hoping for Coach Gibbs to make one more run. It's been so fun seeing him over the years at USA Hockey Arena. Knowing Coach Givens, he's going to show up anyway. That's the type of guy he is. But certainly, you'd love to see him bring his Trojans again.
We go to Region 10. The regional semifinals will be played next Monday, the February 26th. But this is looking like it's going to be Bay City Wolves and Saginaw Heritage. We've talked a lot about Bay City. Gunnar Weber's been in our Player of the Year. What do you like about the Bay City Wolves?
Well,
besides the fact that the head coach is my Doppelganger.
Yeah, you have to start with Gunnar. No doubt about that. 36 and 31. Just a monster year. And he was a guy, I remember a lot of guys talking about him last summer. I got a chance to see him play last summer. I think what is overlooked is maybe Nash Leonard and what he's been able to do. He's got a .937 save percentage. This is a huge game. I don't think people maybe outside of the area understand
and there's some highlights here at Bay City. So
Saginaw Heritage has kind of had Bay City's number for a while, including beating them back on February 7th. Owen Turner is a guy that, once again, is just having an outstanding season. I've said this for years running, and he's made me look good time and time again. This is J.J. Bamberger's time of year. Yep. He's the type of guy that you might see them kind of meander through the regular season, but he finds a way at tournament time. Don't be surprised if they don't punch your ticket to get back to USA again.
And what's more about, Saginaw Heritage, they've been that team that, year after year, they find their way to USA.
And that's what I respect about him the most is JJ. Doesn't matter what division, doesn't matter what their record is. He's a guy that finds talent. He's a guy that develops talent. Think of all the fantastic players that have been there over the years.
Brady Rappoon won Mr. Hockey a few years ago.
I think there were 38 different Rappoons there. Not quite as many Rappoons as there were Milocks, but there were a bunch of Rappoons there. But JJ's done a fantastic job. That's going to be a dandy. Bay City Saginaw is going to be Heritage is going to be a dandy.
We continue in Division II, Region 11 out on the west side. The regional semifinals will be played on Saturday. Byron Center. They made it to the state championship game last year. They've been in our top three throughout the season. What do you like about them?
I think revenge tour, honestly. As close as they've been the last few years, they've knocked on the door about as hard as you can knock on the door. Last year, they nearly kicked the door in, but the door was shut. They've been the favorite all year. I have no reason to think that they aren't still the favorite. Obviously you talk about Freusland, you talk about Pratt, you talk about, one of the best goaltenders in the state as well. Jordan's done such a good job there. Can't say enough about the job that Jordan has done. This is a team that has gone about its business this year. Johnny, I don't think you heard any crying about last year or anything like that. I remember talking to Jordan after the game last year, and he said, hey, we were close, but this is what you tell the boys is remember this feeling, and let's find a way to get back and not have this feeling next year. And I really think this team's on a mission, John.
And we're going to be talking with Jordan in our Coach's Corner in just a few minutes.
Oh.
In Region 12, actually, the regional semifinals are going to start here in just a few minutes at 3:30. Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard is taking on Ann Arbor Skyline. We have talked in years about Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard. Congratulations to Clint Robert on winning his 100th career win at AAGR.
I'm glad you brought that up. Clint's been a good friend to ours. Always appreciate chatting with him and getting his insight on many things. Nick Dunphy's a guy to keep an eye on for them for sure. Husak on the blue line, he's a guy that keeps getting better and better. And Skyline, let's not forget, there's a pretty talented player on that team as well, a guy that was on our list most of the year. The thing about Richard is they make you earn your goals. They've been getting good goaltending, getting good team defense, so that's going to be a tough matchup for a lot of teams taking on the Irish.
And then Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard, they bumped up from Division 3 to Division 2. So what's your thoughts about that? Is it just a tougher road to get to USA?
You know what? This year I don't think so. Division 3 is.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we got to get out.
Yeah, Division 3 is tough this year. It's weird though, John. Some years, you look at 2. Some years you look at 3. Some years you look at 1. Just one man's opinion this year. It doesn't mean that I'm right. I think Division 3 right now is kind of where it's at with the muddied water, so to speak.
In Region 13, the regional semifinals will be on Friday. We have talked about Brother Rice. We have talked about Lakeland. Brother Rice have had their ups and downs, but they seem like they're picking up at the right time, and they could make it to USA. And it could be a part of our predictions here in a few minutes.
He's another guy in Coach Chappett. It doesn't matter what happens during the regular season. He gets him going. I remember last year, seemed like everybody picked against them, and I made a joke with Kenny when the playoffs started. I was like, I've seen this before, Chappett. I've seen. I'm taking you guys. You're just like, don't do it, don't. But they ended up winning, and we had a laugh about it on the ice. But there's a lot to like about that team. Obviously, Roman Valera is a guy that's been getting it done. Johnny Coons on the. Who can forget his big goal last year? And he is just devouring minutes this year. Just minute after minute after minute. How much does he have left in the gas tank? Well, a lot still, because he's a big reason why Brother Rice played so well down the stretch.
And Lakeland's had a great year, it's led by their goaltender, Paul Baker. He's in the Wall War, the top 10. And I'm going to give him a shout out. He just recently committed to Michigan to be an engineer.
Good for him. Smart kid, no doubt. Scanlon and Grant as well. I've had them ranked pretty much the whole year, so that is not going to be an easy out when you have a goaltender that caliber and some of the pieces like I spoke of. I think this is a very good Lakeland team, and they've been building something special out there for a few years as well. So it looks good on them.
Yeah, they've won the Lakes Valley Conference. They were in the regional final last year against Brother Rice. I know Brother Rice did beat them, it was 8-3 or something. But what do you think they're going to learn from that loss?
It's a good question, John. I think Baker's a year older. I think Baker's a year better. The good thing about it's like I was just talking about with Jordan and BC is, what you tell the boys, remember that feeling from last year, and I think guys can relate to that. Nobody likes to have that feeling when your season ends. And if you get an opportunity, especially against your tormentor from a year ago, that's an extra motivation to be sure.
All right, we continue now. Region 14, the regional semifinals will be played tomorrow. We have De La Salle taking on Grosse Pointe South and Port Huron Northern taking on your cousin's team, St. Clair Shores Unified. We have talked a lot about Warren De La Salle. Gavin is now in our top 10 for the Wall Award. Chad LaRose really well from his days with the Whalers. What's your thoughts?
AJ and Keegan up front. I think there's more depth there. Those guys are leading the way, but there's more depth there than people want to give themselves credit for. I'm not just saying this because I know Chad. I think he's done a tremendous job with this team. Where they were at the beginning of the year. Johnny, we saw him, I saw him in November, and then I saw him again in December, and there was a big jump. And the last time that I saw them, there was a really, really big jump. And so much of it at this level, as you know and everybody else out there knows, is your goaltending. And when you got a kid like that in net, that can be a difference maker on a night in, night out basis. All you need is that 151-minute stretch, really. And how many times have we seen it where that guy just stands on top of his head and hypnotizes the opposition, and that can end a season. So they've got the type of guy that can do that.
In Region 15, the regional semifinals we played on Saturday, Sean. Teams in there, you have the Livonia Red Stallions. We've talked a little bit about them. They had a couple players in the flow competition. We can't forget about the flow. Allen Park and UAD Jesuit. Allen Park, they gave Trenton a run for their money last year in the regional final behind the goaltending play of Jack Miller. They've had some ups and downs, but I have a feeling like they're going to make their peak right now.
Well, and everything with them starts with Jack Miller. It was amazing in the offseason how many guys were talking about Jack Miller, and then you get a chance to see him play as we did a couple times, and you get it. And I think the numbers speak for themselves. He's got a .936 save percentage. Bobby Lease is having a big year as well. How about this? Distributor. 16 goals, 35 assists. You like that guy that's dishing off some of those sweet apples, to be sure. I said at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to stand by it, there is a heck of a lot of talent on this UAD team, all right? You can forget everything that happened between November and up to this point. You can go like this and crumble it all up and throw it in the garbage. This is the new season now. This is a chance to finish the book the way that you want to finish. This is a UDJ team that I'm going to warn everybody.
I saw them against Brother Rice here in December. They won 6-3. They were on a roll, and then the next day they were playing Salem in the MIHL KLA Showcase. They were on a roll right then and there.
I wouldn't overlook them no matter what.
Well, here's the key, Sean. UAD and Allen Park played this past weekend. UAD won 4-0. So it'll be interesting if they do play each other in the regional final next Wednesday.
Well, it's that motivation stuff. I mean, no doubt that's that motivation stuff. But talent-wise, they're loaded. They're loaded. And, that would be my advice to the boys is, okay, forget about what happened. Forget about what happened during the season. Doesn't matter now. This is a new season. You can write the ending to the story that you guys want. And they have that opportunity now. We
head downriver for Region 16, so we'll be talking about this for the next 30 minutes. No, I'm just joking, Sean. So, we have Gibraltar Carlson, Woodhaven in there, Lenawee United, but the team in that region that is the favorite, the clear-cut favorite is Trent.
They can't rip on me this year, John.
Nope.
Sorry, guys. You guys got. I know.
We're not going to be hearing it from like a Keith from Trenton.
Oh, I'll still hear it.
Or
from
a
Keith
Tony
and Trenton.
from Trenton, or a Sean from Trenton.
I'll still hear it from those guys. Show one this year. I made the joke, and much love, guys. You know that. I think they're loaded this year.
Yep.
I really do. They play the Trenton way.
And what is the Trenton way?
The Trenton way is we are going to play you really hard. That we are just going to come at you. We are going to be sandpaper. We are not going to give up. We're going to find a way to get that big goal. We're going to show passion like you just saw on that celebration. I think Chad and his staff, Coach Knighting included, have done a tremendous job. Barrett obviously leading the way.
We have a wall, and we have a wall candidate in Miklos.
19 goals, 18 assists for 37 points. Miklos has been good. Civi's been good. This is a team that can hurt you in a myriad of ways. A lot of pieces to like about this team. I'm going to say it again. I said it a couple weeks ago. I have no problem saying it here. I think this is the Trojans' best team in 10 years, and that team won a championship in 2014.
All right, so here is our predictions to make the Final Four in Division II and our winners. So, Sean, take it away.
All right, I am going to go with BC. No doubt about that. Byron Center, I think they've been the favorite all year for good reason. I'm not going against JJ this year. I did it last year, and the guy finds a way No doubt about that. So I'm going to go with the heritage to come from that side. And then, boy, what a dandy it should be. MIHL special. Trenton and Brother Rice getting together. Boy, they've seen so much of each other in the past. I like Trenton this time around. I think Trenton has been running as the number 2 all year in Division II. And I think they're going to stay the number 2 because I have Byron Center winning it all in Division II this year.
Well, Sean, we have difference in our picks in this one. So
Okay.
Kevin rolled a graphic. So we have Trenton. I have Trenton taking on Warren De La Salle.
Oh, look at you going all LaRose on me.
Yeah, exactly. And Byron Center taking on my Doppelganger, Sax Assault, and the Bay City Wolves in the semifinals. And I do have Byron Center taking on Trenton in the state championship game, with Byron Center coming from the west side to win it this year.
Yeah, they've been the best team all year. I think everybody out there is probably going to be picking Byron Center. That doesn't mean that they can't be beaten, no doubt about that. How many times have we seen it in the past where the prohibitive favorite came in and didn't find a way? But boy, they're loaded. They are really loaded.
All right. Well, speaking of Byron Center, I caught up with Coach Jordan in our Coach's Corner, and we're going to play it right now. It's time now for our Coach's Corner, brought to you by our friends at the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. I am joined today by the head coach at Byron Center High School, Jordan Steger. Jordan, welcome to Hockey Time.
Hey, thanks guys for having me.
All right, so the playoffs are starting this week. So just give me your thoughts on the regular season.
We're very happy with how we ended. Took a couple hard ones at the Trenton Showcase, but that was great adversity for us. We had a pretty banged up lineup, so it's good for us to battle through that. And really, Trenton is a measuring stick, for all solid teams and teams that want to really get it done. And that's exactly what that ended up being for us. So even though it was, a loss and a tie, it was a really good experience for us.
And just what was your thoughts on playing Detroit Catholic Central? Everyone talked about CC being, the number 1 team in the state. What did the boys get from playing CC?
It was an historic game for our program. We weren't just playing for ourselves or our family within the locker room. We were playing for all the future Bulldogs. So it was really cool, and I hope that we get to schedule them again.
How special is it for the Byron Center hockey program to have Jackson Forsland in our Player of the Year and Brady Swanson in our Wall Award?
Yeah, those guys absolutely deserve it. I wish that everyone could come see how they practice, how they work off the ice, the amount of preparation that goes into both of their games, the way they carry themselves in the locker room, how they treat their teammates. All that stuff adds up to exactly what you see on the ice. And it's no surprise that either of them are on that list.
And just give me a quick preview on your regional in Division II.
Yeah, we take on the winner of Granville and Kennewa Hills, and both have had solid seasons, overlook anything. And yeah, just coming ready to play one game at a time.
And just lastly, last year you guys made it to the Division II state final. You guys came so close. What would it mean for you guys to win it this year?
It would mean everything. We reached out to a couple of the seniors last year just for some words on advice for playoffs, and you can tell a lot of them still carry it with them, as do I, as do the 10 returning players for us. So to march hopefully back and have a solid attempt at it again would be everything. It would.
All right, so good luck to you guys in the Division II playoffs, and thank you for joining us here on Hockey Time.
Yeah, thank you, John.
And that was our Coach's Corner, brought to you by our friends at the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. All right, so Sean was getting a little hot because it was like it's 50 degrees outside. And you're wearing a beanie too.
But it's 3,000 degrees in here. Thank God my man, Robbie, has some extra rock and rye.
Get a close up.
Listen, other people carry around their wallet with cards and everything. Robbie just has a bunch of rock and ryes on his person. So thank you, Robbie. I appreciate it.
Of course, we're always locked and loaded with the rock and rye.
So, Robbie, during our little break here, we have some comments coming through. So let
Yeah,
us
John,
know.
we got a lot of comments.
Let's hear from
a lot
the people.
of questions, a lot of thoughts. They want you guys' thoughts on some teams. So Tom has asked, what do you guys think about Romeo?
I like Romeo. As we were talking about, I had them in the rankings early in the year. And then they had, if I remember, they had a couple tough losses, and I took them off, but they redeemed themselves late in the year. They finished strong. They end up winning their division. So a lot to like about that Romeo team. I've heard nothing but good things about Cyrus and Net. I know that they have 3 different goaltenders, but he seems to kind of be the man, so to speak. So I'm intrigued to see what they can do.
All right, Robbie, keep it going.
Nico Median. He wants to know, can Ike pull off the upset over Romeo?
It would be a huge upset, no doubt about that. Reggio's had a pretty big year, though. I know Sherritt, is that the other guy, Sherritt, up front? When I was doing some research, those are some names to certainly keep an eye on. But, hey, listen, props to them. Big win over Lance Cruz. You got to give him some love for that.
And our last one, Austin wants you guys to chat a little bit about the Lake Orion varsity hockey team.
You want to go or you want me to go? Sounded like you are going to talk. You
well,
talk for once. I'll drink some rock
Well,
and rye.
yeah, I know. I know they lost to North Oakland, in the regional semifinals. They play in the tough OAA.
I think that is a region. There are a lot of players out there, Johnny, and I think this is the test for a lot of places. It's finding a way to get some of these kids to stay home, and I think the high school is winning the battle in a lot of different places. I think that is an area with the amount of kids that play out there, Johnny. I think Lake Orion is one of those. The Dragons could be like a sleeping giant. Don't wake up the Dragons, A lot of guys out there, find a way to get them to play for the hometown school.
All right, we're going to continue our preview of the playoffs, and we're going to finish up in Division 3.
Okay.
We have talked about all year, like this is the toughest division. Your thoughts before we really get going here?
I absolutely. I think it's the toughest division. I felt that way at the beginning of the year, and that's even before we saw Hancock kind of return to some of its previous glory, and that just makes it even more interesting. I think Marquette was probably better than a lot of people thought. I think Sioux is another team that I think they're going to give Marquette and anybody else they face a run for their money. So even before this season started, I thought that this might be the deepest. And as the season has progressed, I definitely feel it's the deepest.
All right, so in Region 17, we have talked about this in length over the years. We feel bad about this region because you have Houghton, Hancock, and Calumet. Houghton's been one of the top teams in our rankings all season long. Mm-hmm. Hancock's been a great story. But first, let's talk about Houghton.
Mike has done such a great job. It helps that Mike and Coach Finger have been around the program, and they were able to stay and at least provide some continuity. And, they've kind of continued the Gremlin way that Coach Markham. Obviously, you start with Millette when you're talking about Houghton. All one has to do is see him skate. Look, here he is right there. Yeah. Look at 10.
Yeah.
And trust me, he's actually going at normal human speed there. When that kid turns it on, he can fly. I like that Arco, the sophomore. I think he's a good-looking player. Obviously, Bryant Lee in net. His save percentage was just outstanding this year. I think a 9.45 off the top of my head. A lot to like about Houghton, and I think heading into the playoffs for the second straight year, you can look at Houghton as maybe being the favorite in Division 3.
And let's talk quick about Hancock. They've had their ups and downs the last few years, but they have jumped up this year.
There is so much to like about that team. I remember Johnny said 3 weeks ago, if there was one team that I was really excited to see down in Trenton, it was Hancock. It really was, and they didn't let me down. They've got just a couple of goaltenders that are getting it done. Saku's like 8'11". They're one guy. I think seriously, somebody get out the tape measure. I think he's 8'11". Great story all year long. Kilpala is outstanding. I really like that freshman Axford. I think this is a team that is doing this right now, but I don't want to bang on the table because I'm afraid I'm going to break it. It's going to be louder next year and even louder the year after that based on some of the youth on their team. Do they have enough, John?
Yeah.
That would be my question with Houghton. I think as the season wound down, you saw them kind of slow down a little bit. Maybe not as much depth as a couple teams as they faced down the stretch. I guess we'll all find out.
In Region 18, the regional semifinals are actually going to be tomorrow, but this has Marquette and the Sioux. Let's talk in length about Marquette.
I love Moyer. I've talked him up a bunch of times. I thought he was arguably the best player that I saw up in Traverse City. I know a few of the boys would agree with that. Kid's only a sophomore as well. Boy,
so what does that mean? He'll be a junior next year.
Yeah, he'll be a junior next year. But you know what? At the end of the day, Reapy is having him back, kind of kicked it up a notch. They have two goaltenders that can play, but I think Cole Kelly's going to be the guy. And look at that uni as well. I love that uni. I think that's such a sharp look. That gives them a little advantage, right?
Yeah.
But no, all jokes aside, Doug Garrow has them playing the right way. They stick to their system. They stay disciplined. They're going to be a tough out for anybody. But I'm going to say it again. I really liked what I saw out of that Sioux team down in Trenton. And Sioux is going to give them a go.
In Region 19, the regional semifinals will be played tomorrow. This has the Bay Reps. The Bay Reps has been in the top 10 the whole season. We saw them at the North-South Showcase, and obviously we saw them in Trenton.
Yeah, I've had them top 10. I've had them top 15. I think the last one, were they 15? I don't remember, but just outside. Like a lot about their team. Obviously, it starts with Lucas. Lucas is a guy that has been on our radar, was on our list. I really liked both Boynton Fishers. There's the Boynton Fisher up front. I really thought he had a complete game, and they have a Boynton Fisher in net as well. One obviously a senior, one a sophomore. This is a very good Bay Reps team. Yep. I think we've heard about their promise for a couple of years now, and they're starting to fulfill some of that promise as well.
In Region 20, the regional semifinals will be played on Friday. This region has Alpena. And a great story out at Gladwin, the Flying G's.
Isn't that cool?
Great nickname.
Yeah, it's a great nickname. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've watched them play, but looking at some of the numbers, I think you deserve to give some of these guys a shout out. Isaac Wheeler's had a nice year, 34-26. Siegert's had 58 points. So obviously having a faith. Look at those unis; those are sharp unis as well, right?
Yeah.
Rock and Robbie could slash a little rock and rye on there for everybody, but that's a good look. I like that uni. So we'll see what happens.
They've had a great year. They
really have. They really have.
And then congratulations again to Alpena. They had their 900 win as a program a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, just such a strong hockey tradition, and that's a good young team. It's going to be fun to watch that team kind of come up together.
We head back to the west side for Region 21. The regional semifinals will be played on Saturday. This is a tough region. You got East Grand Rapids. You got Grand Rapids Catholic Central. Let's talk about East Grand Rapids. They made it all the way to the state finals last year. They came that close before losing to Flint Powers. We saw them in Trenton, and, man, they've been on a roll.
I don't know this to be sure. But this is my feelings, and maybe when I get a chance to see Coach Newton, I'll ask him this personally. I think Coach Newton is a guy that kept preaching the way he wanted the boys to play, and then one day it sunk in, and the boys saw what happens when they play that way. This is a team that plays with a certain style. They keep going. They keep coming at you. I really, really like watching them play. Boy, I love that Millman kid.
Yep.
Remember him?
I remember him from football season too, man. He's a heck of a football player.
I really loved watching him play. Joe Green is a guy getting it done in net. So, yeah, no doubt about it. The Pioneers are another example, Johnny, okay, of when you do it a couple years in a row and you make noise and you knock off some of the big boys all over the state, you become one of the usual suspects, and they're well on their way to becoming one of the usual suspects.
And let's not forget about Grand Rapids Catholic. Almost said Detroit Catholic Central, but Grand Rapids Catholic Central. They seem like they're ready to take that next step and get to USA. I know they've been there before, they won, but I feel like this could be their time.
Yeah, Mike Slobodnik has done such a great job for such a long time. Westrick up front, certainly that's the guy to keep an eye on, and Goheen in net. Now, there are a couple of Goheens. I don't want to disrespect the other one, but certainly the one that everybody's talking about is the young man in net, and we've talked about him. He made it on our list back in early December. John, we've seen no reason to take him off the list. Cougars definitely a team to keep an eye on moving forward.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that region plays out. And as Sean gets a nice little drink here, give him a little break here, we'll let him drink it up, drink that rock and rye. So in Region 22, I feel like this is like the region of doom. This has Orchard Lake St. Mary's, Flint Powers, Jackson Lumen Christie in there. This, let's talk about Orchard Lake St. Mary's. You had them number 2 in your rankings a few weeks back.
Yeah, they've been up and down all year. There are times that you put them at 2. There are times that you knock them back down to 9. But the talent is there. I think Kirk Cab up front is one that jumps out to you. But there are numerous guys up front that jump out to you. Will Keene is still a guy that can shut the door on you. No doubt about that. It's consistency. Yeah. With Orchard Lake St. Mary's. I think if you go look at their schedule on the hub, and you all do check out the hub, right?
MIHSHockeyHub.com.
There you go. If you go look at their schedule, you'll see the inconsistencies. Can they be consistent this time of year? If they can be consistent, they can end up at USA Hockey Arena again.
And Flint Powers, they're going to be playing Jackson Lumen Christie this weekend. But let's talk about the defending Division III state champions. Flint Powers and Orchard Lake did play each other a few weeks back. It was 5-4 Orchard Lake. But what do you like about the Chargers?
Travis Perry. Honestly, and I think this is the type of year Travis is sitting there smiling right now because it seems like people are talking.
I'm sure he's smiling right now live.
Well, and honestly, people are talking about other teams, and this is exactly what he wants to do. He's a guy that's done so well there for so long, and I know I've mentioned this both on the show and certainly in the rankings. It's almost like they're sitting back going, "Hey guys, remember us?
Yeah, remember us? Yeah, we won
it
last year.
We actually won D3 last year.
Zarnecki made that, scored that goal with like a second left to win the state championship.
Aiden Cook up front is a guy certainly to keep an eye on. Doesn't it seem like they always have a goalie as well?
Yep.
Blake Ziotto is kind of the next in line for Flint Powers, but a dangerous team. You can't ever count out a Travis Perry coach team, and this is a dangerous team yet again.
An interesting region is in Region 23. The regional semifinals will be playing on Friday. Cranbrook is playing Marysville. Liggett is in, but still waiting to see who they play.
Mm-hmm.
Liggett could win this region. Cranbrook could win this region. Marysville can make a run too, but we have seen Cranbrook at the showcase.
Mm-hmm.
They've been an up-and-down team, but they got a goalie, midway through the season that everyone's been talking about, and this is the kind of goalie that can give Cranbrook a run.
Dudler's been outstanding. Honestly, I've made a point. John, obviously we got a chance to see them a couple times, but I've made a point to reach out to some of the coaches that have faced him, and they've all said the same thing, whoa. I really like that Timko kid as well. I think Robbie actually gave him one of the rock and rise, if I'm not mistaken.
He was supposed to say the first star of the game, and he said the Fago player of the game.
Well, that's all right. Fago player of the game, the rock and rye player of the game. But I liked Timko. You have to give a little credit to Coach LaFontaine. It hasn't been an easy year. There have been some injuries this year to that team as well. Yeah. Some key players have been out. So, in my opinion, I keep an eye on the Cranes. I think they're kind of right now to a lot of different people.
And lastly, in Region 24, the regional semifinals will be played on Friday. This is another dandy of a region. Detroit Country Day is taking on Riverview Gabriel Richard. Grosse Ile is taking on Birmingham Unified. This could be anyone's game. Let's talk about Riverview Gabriel Richard, and we'll talk about a few other ones quick. But what's your thoughts on the Pioneers? They started off slow, but they seem like they've been on the rise as well.
Yeah, they've been on fire the last month of the season, and it doesn't surprise me. Ricky's done such a great job there. Venturini's led the way. Ryan Rainey has been a senior for 13 straight years. I'm convinced of it. You can't.
Did he get a COVID year or something? A free year?
I think he got 12 COVID years, if the truth be told. But no, honestly, I nothing but respect for the way that kid has played. He's had a 9.32 save percentage. But you know what? You've seen this team steadily improve and finish the season so strong. Another one of those guys, this is his time of year, is Coach Novak. And
Yep. We have heard I've heard from Coach Novak, and he's just saying, we've had a lot of injuries, but if we're healthy and it's the right time, we can make a run.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Coach Novak as well. I got the utmost respect for him. He's done such a great job. I think people forget, the machine that he had there. But Clay Spencer's a guy that people are going to talk about. And then you've got Hunter and Ryder Novak as well. That's a dangerous team. You can't look past a team like the Yellow Jackets coached by Coach Novak.
And then Grosse Ile and Birmingham. Grosse Ile, they've over 20 wins this season too. So it'd be interesting. It's going to be an interesting region.
It's been fun to watch them the last couple of years pick up all those wins, and it's been fun to watch Fisher Gurney pick up all those points. He's got 83 points on the year. Our friends from Birmingham as well, a bunch of great guys. We get a chance to talk to them each and every October, Johnny, when we do the media day and everything. Bloom has had 20 goals for them to lead the way. They've had good goaltending along the way as well. So they've been a good story and a good win yesterday as well in the playoff.
Just before we get going here, I just received a text from Travis Perry. He just wanted to say he's just happy to be in the toughest region of Michigan.
I think that's absolutely positively true. I really do. I think it's the toughest. I think it's certainly Division III is the toughest division, and you can certainly make that argument as well. And Travis, thanks for watching. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, so here is our predictions to make the Division III Final Four and our winner. So, Sean, who's going to make it to USA?
Well, I kind of gave you a sneak peek, didn't I? Guys, Cranbrook, I think they're playing the right way right now. I think they can go on a little run. When you got a goaltender playing as well as they are, they're going to be a dangerous matchup for anybody. EGR and Bay Reps on the other side, I'm going to stick with them. Championship game, I think this will be a dandy, a rematch of the semifinal from last year. And I got the Gremlins getting a little revenge and winning another championship and bringing it back up to Copper country for all of their Gremlin fans up there.
It'll be the first time since 1982.
Yeah, 82. You got it.
All right, so we're kind of on the same 3 of the 4. So here it is. So it will be Houghton taking on Riverview Gabriel Richard.
Wow, downriver, I'm stunned.
I know, got to give my Downriver some love, man. Two teams from Downriver going to make the Final Four.
What a shocker.
Shocker. And East Grand Rapids taking on the Bay Reps and then I do have Houghton taking on East Grand Rapids with Houghton winning its first state title, as we mentioned. It could be the first time since 1982.
Did you and I, we all picked the same 3 champions, didn't we? CC, BC, and Houghton.
Yep.
Wow, that means we're dead wrong.
Yeah, we're going to be, I don't know. So before we get going, I want to go back to Rockin' Rye Robbie. He's almost done with the first bottle. And so any more comments?
Oh, we got tons. We have tons.
Like good or positive?
They're all just curious about your guys' thoughts. So here's
Curious. Like curious like a cat.
Yeah, exactly. If Cameron Duffney doesn't win Mr. Hockey, who do you think will?
You mean the Warrior Hockey Player of the Year?
The Warrior Hockey Player of the Year.
The Duff Man.
All right, so you have to start. You have to start with our criteria. It depends how far a lot of these. The farther you go, the chances increase for you to get it done. That's just our criteria. That
we'll show that screen in a little bit.
That's why we put it up each and every week, because I'm telling you, even though we tell you every week on the show, somebody's going to cry and complain about it in the next couple of weeks. I promise you that's going to happen. It happens every year. So, John, that's why I make a point every show to go, Johnny, can you put that little thing on the screen? But no,
but today is going to be Kevin in a little bit. Kevin will have to put this. I can't do anything about it.
Trust me, Kevin will put that on the screen
today.
Kevin will put that on the screen.
It's number 59, Kevin. Just put number 59 up on the screen. Put up the criteria.
Duffney
is number 59 on the criteria on the screen right now. Kevin, put up number. There it is.
See that?
There it is. We'll put up in a little bit.
Don't cry at me, Argentina. That's seriously. That's our criteria, and we live by that. So obviously, if you go deeper in the playoff, it helps you out. Doesn't mean you have to go all the way, because it's not always a case where a team wins a championship, but. Just thinking out loud, yes, he's got a wondrous chance. I think I didn't think it was possible, but he elevated his game this year. I think both he and Petit did. I think this is, a situation where when you have a guy like Watkins playing behind him, it already took a very good Petit and made him better.
Yep.
It took a very good Duffney, made him better. So they have a really good chance. But, honestly, John, I think a few guys could make that claim in our top 10.
All right, Robbie, let's keep it rolling here.
All right, Chuck from Clinton Township wants to know what
Are we
barbecue.
sure it's not Chuck from here in the office?
It might be. He wants to know barbecue Mike's picks. If Sean, you know them.
You know what?
Well, we have to.
We're going to put it. What are we going to do? We're going to put it on the.
It's on the website right now. So
We're gonna
our
put it on the
predictions
website.
are now live at statechampsnetwork.com. All the regional picks and everything. So it's on statechampsnetwork.com.
My man, and I respect him for this. He's not going to pick Division One. He's got a personal rooting interest there, but
He's going Kurt Herbstreit right now.
He did pick Division Two, and he did pick Division Three. But yeah, so you can, like you said, check that out on the website. You can check all our little.
They're going to be printing it up right now. They are. These teams are printing them up right now and putting it on their locker right now. How come they picked this team?
You guys, I welcome your crying.
They're crying in the comments. They are crying.
Oh, okay, let's keep the crying going then. What's going on? We got time.
So people think, a couple people have said that EGR is overrated. We got a couple people rooting for Clay Spencer, Player of the Year.
Pretty hard to argue.
Yep.
And
EGR is overrated based on what?
Hey,
I'm sorry, I got to add based on what? Look what they did last year. They went to the championship game. They came this close to winning a championship. We saw them out in Trenton. I think the number that they did in both those games.
Yep.
I'm going to get the back of Coach Newton and the Pioneers here. I really am.
thoughts on FGR?
We mentioned them before. I like FGR. I think it starts obviously with their coach.
Coach
we are
Robert.
talking about Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's Father Gabriel Richard.
Nick Dunphy's a guy to keep an eye on. I like Cusack on defense. I think that's a young man that's gone on like this. They've gotten good goaltending. I know Coach Robert stresses defense as well. This is a team that the last couple of years, John, they've had so many close losses. Yep. And if they find a way to turn those close losses into wins, look out. They're capable of going on a little run.
All right, we'll do a couple more, and then we're going to go to break.
Well, Barbecue Mike is in the chat.
Is he really?
He wants to say we're looking good, and that he wants to know, Sean, what games you guys are hitting this weekend.
Well, Mike, I might be going out to Lindell tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. I know you're familiar with some of the shenanigans going on there. I've got a very busy day on Saturday, John. You and I haven't talked about that. So I'm going to drive from Northville to Brighton. I want to watch Brighton and whoever they play. And then I want to watch Novi and Northville. And this is where I'm going to do my little magic trick and morph into two people.
The cloning thing.
The cloning thing. I want to watch Novi and Northville, and certainly I want to watch, Stevenson and whoever it is out in Edgar as well. So I'm going to try to find a way. Maybe I do half there, or something like that. But I have a feeling I'll take in three games on Saturday.
I have a feeling that you might see me in Birmingham on Friday.
Okay.
For those Division III regionals with Country Day, against GR and, Birmingham against GI. So it's in the works. Right?
Good. Against who?
GI.
Where are they from?
The river. Down the river.
Huh.
Down the river.
Wow.
Wow.
What an oddity.
What a shock. What a shock.
Shocker.
We got time for one more?
We'll do one more, and then we'll go to break, and then we'll keep the final thoughts at the end.
They want your thoughts on the Kalamazoo Eagles.
I'm intrigued. I think a couple things, obviously when you find a way to win a game like that, I think that's something that has to jump out to you. But I want to see more of those teams. This is just one man's opinion.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them find a way to schedule some teams. It's one thing to tell everybody, and I'm not just saying this about Kalamazoo. I would say this about a lot of places. It's one thing to say, look what we're doing. It really says, look what we're doing, when you go out and beat one of the usual suspects. And I know it's not the easiest thing in the world.
Was it like a few years ago they had Saginaw Heritage on the ropes in overtime?
Yeah,
and like was it the regional final or the quarterfinal?
And John,
I'm just saying.
This is the time. No, but I agree with you. This is the time of year you have that opportunity. You can go out and beat somebody. That's the best way to say, we've arrived and we're somebody that you're going to have to keep an eye on in the future. I'd like to get out there and get a chance to see them. I got a chance to see Matawan last week, and there's some good hockey being played in that area as well. So yeah, that's it. Good luck to you guys. Seriously, yep. I know it's not easy, and that's another area where kids seem to be picking everybody else. And listen to you AAA kids out there. I'll say it. Nobody else will say it. Play for your high school team. Kids are getting noticed now. Kids are going places now. You don't have to take my word for it. You guys know better than I do. Okay. Kids are going places. They're moving on. They're going to the NAL. They're going to the USHL.
Playing college hockey now.
College hockey. So that's, to me, and that's the progression. The NAL, maybe the USHL, maybe get into a college team. Give it a shot. It isn't like it was even 10 years ago. It's working, and I would tell that to any kid out there watching. I can't tell you, John, how many times a kid has come up to me in the last couple of years, and I'm not going to mention any names.
Oh, we have plenty of stories on this.
A kid or his dad has walked up to me and said, wow, I wish that little Robbie decided...
Little Rock and Rye Robbie?
Decided to play his sophomore year at fill-in-the-blank school. And they realize this senior year when they finally make that decision to go play for their school. And, by that time, you only have a few months left. And so... I guess learn from some of those guys that have already learned what we know. This is a pretty darn special place to play.
Yeah. For example, we'll have a few before we go to break here. Obviously Joey Larson. Mm-hmm. He played at Heartland, won a state championship. He's now playing at Michigan State. Quinn Preston from Trenton. He played at Ohio State. We've had
Where's
Brendan.
he from?
He's from Trenton. He's from down the river, and we do have Brendan Miles. He was at Detroit Catholic Central. He played at Michigan. The head coach at Detroit Catholic Central, Brendan Kalnicki, he played it for Catholic Central. He played at Michigan. There's a lot of players that played high school hockey that have gone on.
I think you're forgetting a guy that won a national championship at Michigan State as well.
You can say it.
Kirk Cavisto. Absolutely. No, come on. I have to get some Spartan love out there. But
oh, yeah, exactly.
No, all jokes aside, listen, a lot of those guys, though, that was a different era. Honestly, it is. Yeah. This is change. You don't talk to me. You don't have to talk to me. I'm just some idiot that's talking to you on a street. Go talk to scouts.
Yeah, talk to scouts. Go to a high school game, and the crowds at these games, especially now when it's the playoffs, standing room only. We've been at playoff games that the fire marshal has to come and say, "No, what we can't let anybody else." I remember 2008. This was actually the first time I met Clint Robert when he was the head coach at Northville. They were playing Detroit Catholic Central. First game of the pre-regionals. That place was sold out. And it was a snowstorm before that game. And it was a 5-4 overtime win for Northville. It's just those moments. Look at like last year. Look at the Final Four in Division I. Look at those crowds. They were sold out.
There have been times, John, where I kid you not, I think you'll remember one year, we had at USA Hockey Arena, this is back when it was CompuWare, they wouldn't let anybody else in.
Yeah.
And I had coaches telling me, going, dude, I'm at the back door. Can you open up the door and sneak me in? And I mean, seriously, that's how absolutely packed that place has been. But
I'm sorry to cut you off. Remember, when the Whalers were playing there, and remember that time, you had a few of those Plymouth Whaler players went up there. It was like, wow. This place is packed, and more fans than a Whalers game.
It's amazing to me that and if I told you who those two players were,
they're in the NHL.
They're both in the NHL right now. Two guys that I knew very well, and they were like, Sean, is this always like this? And I said, this weekend, absolutely, and they were really intrigued by it. So, but I mean. I think a team like the Eagles, the best way to get some of the names out there, whether it be, Hampton or Aurora or, whoever it may be, you know what? You knock off somebody this time of year, My goodness gracious, they'll be talking. Yep.
All right. We're not done yet. We are not.
Are you serious?
We are now at an hour and 8 minutes. We thought it was going to be 20
Danny
minutes.
wants to go home.
Yep. Rock and
Notice
Rye.
how I blamed it on Danny. It's totally me because it's 8,000 degrees in here.
Yeah, it's 50-degree day. It's like 100 in the state champ's office, but we're having fun. We're going to take one last break. We still have to talk about the Player of the Year and the Wall Award. Are we going to make any changes to our top 10 before it freezes? You'll find out next.
At Alto Equipment, we know when it comes to getting your job completed on budget and on schedule, uptime matters. Alto Equipment has partnered with the biggest names in construction, including Volvo, Lieboy, Bogen, Avant, ASV, and more to provide the state of Michigan with industry-leading service and support. Alto Equipment services all makes and models, and their technicians are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Do you have a big project? Alta Rents has you covered with the most diverse rental fleet in Michigan. Give them a call at 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
Your curiosity takes shape, drawing you into the unknown, where the science and art of tomorrow are waiting for you. You'll find your calling is closer than imagined. The College of Arts and Sciences at Lawrence Technological University has all the technology and tools to make magic. Be curious. Make magic.
Looking for a score, a schedule, a story? MHSAA.com has you covered. Our newly redesigned website has everything you need to follow high school sports in Michigan. And it's optimized for mobile use. Fans can submit scores on a Friday night, check playoff pairings and game times, or read about the student athletes from your community. Your first stop is MHSAA.com. Connect with us online and get everything you need all in one place.
And welcome back again to State Champs Hockey Time, our live edition. And we have good visitors, Lou Batanti and LTU football coach Scott Merchant on here. We are live right now, just letting you know, Scott and Lou. Yeah, we can get Lou from Bloomfield Hills in the comments.
Get the football
you guys
coach.
can-
Get
you-
the LTU football coach.
Look at
Coach
that.
Merchant.
There he
let's go.
is.
Let's cut to Coach quick. Say
Hey,
hi.
Coach, there he is.
He's live. All right, the new head coach at Lawrence Tech.
Slapshot, Hanson Brothers, best movie ever.
Ever. We're gonna, you know what? let's smoke some meat and we'll have a slapshot viewing party. At
Oh,
my
he's
house.
coming back.
Coach, I'm putting on the foil.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's
Do it.
go.
No, listen, John. We've done this for like over an hour and 10 minutes now. Honestly, this has flown by. This has been so much fun. Thank you for watching it. A mutual friend of ours, I don't know if he wants us to mention his name, said, what about that Farmington CC game back in the day at CompuWare? It absolutely packed, no doubt about that. So, this is a special place.
Yeah.
It is. And you know what? I keep saying it because I know there are regions around here where a lot of kids get it, and maybe you're not in one of those regions. Give your high school team a shot, man. People are noticing, and I've been fortunate. I've worked in other leagues. I've worked in the USHL. I've worked in college. I even did some games in the National Hockey League. Trust me when I say this. If you can play,
They'll find you.
they'll find you. That's a Mike Vellucci quote. And, of course, he was an assistant general manager with the Carolina Hurricanes and now assistant coach with the Pittsburgh Penguins as well.
Quick. I know they mentioned about Farmington. You talk about that. Farmington United, a couple years ago, 1 or 2 wins on the year. They had a great year. They're up to 12, 13 wins now.
I'm serious. I knew after talking to their coaching staff that they were playing the long game. They understood that it wasn't going to happen in a year. They understand that it might not happen in a couple years.
Yeah.
And their enthusiasm, I think, for the boys that they had at their disposal and the league that they played in is unmatched. And Johnny, that's why, guys, if you ask me again next fall, I promise I'll be there at Farmington High School. It's always a pleasure to go talk to you guys, and anybody who loves the game and is dedicated to a game like that, we'll give you all the love in the world for stuff like that.
All right, so it is time now for our Warrior Hockey Player of the Year and Wall Award update. We're just going to bind this one. We're not going to do two separate segments because we're running out of time. No, just kidding. So we are going to freeze our top 10. So we're going to put it on the screen right now. So our top 10 will stay the same throughout the rest of the way.
Yeah, we're not changing anything. Hate to be anticlimactic, but, we had a conversation about it over weekend, and there was a little back and forth,
Yep.
but we have to go with the consensus, and the guys felt good about that consensus. I feel really good about that group right there. And somebody asked earlier, who's got a shot. I think pretty much everybody on that list has a shot, and I think we don't usually like to put two guys from the same team on there. But I think if any two guys deserve it, it's Lane and Cam at Brighton.
Yep.
I mean, they've been outstanding. And let me be crystal clear about this. This is not a Lifetime Achievement Award. These are two guys that are still getting it done, even up their game this year. So to Duffney and Petit, I know we've done it a couple times before, Johnny. I think we had a couple Rice guys last year. We had a couple CC guys one year. But both of those guys deserve to be on there all day.
All right, so we're going to now show our top 10 for the Wall Award, and it's going to be frozen now. It stays the same throughout the rest of the way.
Same thing. We had a conversation. There were a couple guys that came up. I mentioned one of the guys' names during the course of the show, and we decided to stick with this. This one was a little more cut and dry than the other one. There was a little debate over some of the players. I think we feel really good about this goalie list, John, and we're going to keep it that way. And one of the guys on that list is going to be the 2024 Wall Award winner. Don't forget as well, the leading vote getter for both the player and the wall, you're automatically into the Final Four, and then the criteria takes over from that point in time.
Yep, so you can cast your vote at statechampsnetwork.com. We'll throw the criteria up one more time so you can see it right there.
59, Kevin!
59. File number 59. So there's our criteria, and that's how we're going to select our Player of the Year and our Wall Award after the finals.
And that's what, to the guys, that the coaches right now that are maybe watching this, that I bug you throughout the year. Number one, I can't thank you enough. It was nice to hear some from a former winner today. I hope he doesn't mind me shouting him out.
Andrew Sawyer.
Andrew Sawyer, who won 10 years ago. He and his brother doing a great job, still giving back to the game. But
and Downriver.
We're going to, we thought this was the last segment, but we're going to have Downriver's Best coming up, one more segment, so we probably got an extra half hour with Mr. Downriver. But no, all jokes aside, Andrew Sawyer reached out today, and Andrew, we're going to ask you your thoughts before all is said and done. I'm sure we'll see you at USA Hockey Arena, but that's when we do it. Johnny, we talk to the guys, we send out texts and everything, and we figure out who's going to win it, and it's going to be wide open this year to be sure. All
right, and you can cast your vote for the Wall Award and the Player of the Year at statechampsnetwork.com. We're going to have our final thoughts coming up after the break here.
We have one more segment?
We have just final thoughts.
I'm running out of rock and rye.
Yeah, finally rock and rye. Maybe Cheryl from Lincoln Park is going to comment on the show, so stick right here on Hockey Time.
At Alto Equipment, we know when it comes to getting your job completed on budget and on schedule, uptime matters. Alto Equipment has partnered with the biggest names in construction, including Volvo, Lieboy, Bogen, Avant, ASV, and more to provide the state of Michigan with industry-leading service and support. Alto Equipment services all makes and models, and their technicians are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Do you have a big project? Alta Rents has you covered with the most diverse rental fleet in Michigan. Give them a call at 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
Your curiosity takes shape, drawing you into the unknown, where the science and art of tomorrow are waiting for you. You'll find your calling is closer than imagined. The College of Arts and Sciences at Lawrence Technological University has all the technology and tools to make magic. Be curious. Make magic.
Looking for a score, a schedule, a story? MHSAA.com has you covered. Our newly redesigned website has everything you need to follow high school sports in Michigan. And it's optimized for mobile use. Fans can submit scores on a Friday night, check playoff pairings and game times, or read about the student athletes from your community. Your first stop is MHSAA.com. Connect with us online and get everything you need all in one place.
And welcome back to State Champs Hockey Time. We're going to wrap it up here. So, Sean, had a lot of fun?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Other than, I was in the 5th level of Hades today. It's 800 degrees in this studio.
Yeah.
But, no, this was a blast.
People are going to be like, why is he wearing a beanie?
Because people, I got to keep it up, though, right? It's like, that's
Your
my
hair's
thing
kind of
now.
like getting a little...
I actually have hair.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I just want to prove it to you.
He's not bald.
No, it's funny. I actually see, look at,
Get a close up there.
Yeah, look at, he was a skater boy. But no, listen, it's one of those things where people are already complaining for some of the picks that we made, and that's good,
Yeah.
no doubt. Mike and I are making travel arrangements to go to a few games, and Johnny'd love to get to your neck of the woods as well.
It's not
to see
far.
some games.
It's not far.
Well, for us it is. It's like travel.
Well, it's not far for you to go to Novi.
No, it's not. But going to your place is like going to Narnia. It's like a land of make believe and things like that from where I live.
Yeah.
But no, really, it's no for me. It's I mean that's the cool thing about it. I think a lot of people live in an area where I go a few minutes to go to Novi. I go maybe 20, 25 minutes to go to Brighton. I go 20, 25 minutes the other way to see a game at Stevenson, and about 25 minutes to go see a game at Farmington. And I think a lot of people are like that. That's the good thing is there are places in proximity that you can go see some good action pretty close to you.
All right, before we wrap this up, we're going to go back to Rock and Rye Robbie for our comments section. Did we get... we did. Cheryl from Lincoln Park. Did anyone ask about Cheryl from Lincoln Park? Has there been a hashtag yet? Like, Cheryl from Lincoln Park?
No, but it needs to be started. I think if we can get Cheryl in here, or just get attention brung to Cheryl, that would be great. Kyle Moyer wants to know, do you think Marquette could beat Houghton?
If you're really Kyle Moyer, all right, I'm a big fan of your game, young man. Mm-hmm. And the answer to your question, the answer to your question. Yes, you can. I think you can. Houghton's my pick, but I said all along Marquette is dangerous for a myriad of reasons. I think you're part of it. Reepe's part of it. I think your goaltending's part of it. And I'm a big fan of your coach. I think you guys play the way that your coach wants you to play. I think you play a schedule that is conducive to making one of those runs. You've been battle tested. You've taken your lumps. You've given some lumps along the way. It's going to take a huge effort to beat Houghton. Houghton's my pick. I make no mistake about it.
My pick too.
Would my jaw drop if you guys won that game? No. And I think the Sioux's another team that you guys are going to have to reckon with. That I think the Sioux's another team that it wouldn't shock me if somewhere along the way they pulled one of those upsets. But big fan of that young man's game, number 6, only a sophomore, heck of a player.
How far can Novi go in the playoffs?
I think first things first.
They got to beat their rivals.
I love that their focus has been on their rivals. I think it's great. And, the Battle of Baseline Road, I mean, this is something that it already is a thing. But when you talk about Ryan Ossenmacher at Northville and when you talk about Dane at Novi, I think they're two guys that are going to do what we were talking about earlier in the show. Robbie, they're going to go in and get some of those boys in their district to stay home and play for the Mustangs and play for the Wildcats. So what it is right now is pretty cool. Where it's going to be in the next couple of years, don't be surprised if both those teams aren't really, really good. And I think Northville's pretty close right now. But listen, in a rivalry game, anything can happen. You know, I think a lot of people thought last year, Johnny, that Novi beat Northville that last game of the year, and they thought, oh, it's going to be the same thing next week. And it was Northville that had the surprise. So let's see if history repeats itself with the opposite direction.
All right, we got a few more here, Robbie.
Harry Spencer wants to know, do you think Country Day can make a run?
Is there any relation to a Clay?
He might be. Frank Novak's one of the best coaches in the state. I said it 5 years ago. I'll say it today. I like Clay Spencer. I like the Novak boys. He's a guy that's been there and done that. There's been a lot of adversity, as you know, this year and some injury and everything. But the Yellow Jackets, the one thing, Frank's always going to have them ready to go. So it wouldn't shock me in any way, shape, or form.
Chip Valley United, SCS Hockey Association wants to know, can they win their regional?
Storm's coming.
They have a lot of talent. There's no doubt about that. You know, I talked about it earlier. You know, when you have, we saw Staskowski in Traverse City, and Paperi's the other kid.
Yep.
Paperi, I think, is the other kid up there. You know what? This is a big step for them this year. I'm more intrigued to see what their future holds. You know, I don't think that they should be defined about what they do this year. I think what you do next year. And I think a couple teams out there like that. I think SCS is another team that having a heck of a year. And yes, Nick's my cousin, but the proof's in the pudding. You look at what they've been able to do and what they have coming back next year. And Romeo kind of getting back to that area. People forget it wasn't that long ago that they won a state championship. So there's some good stuff brewing out that way.
Speaking of that way, how far do you guys think Romeo can go in the playoffs?
We kind of mentioned that earlier in the show.
If Cyrus is as good as a lot of people have said, and I'm never, ever going to sit up here and tell you guys that I saw somebody I did not see. I think it's disingenuous. But if he's as good as some people that I've talked to, one thing that I've learned at this level is when you have that guy, you can go all the way. You legitimately can. If a guy is, hypnotizing you and everything, you can go a long way. And we've seen teams, Farmington and John Letherman, go all the way in 2014.
That's all the questions I got for you guys.
Do you have any for us?
Great job,
Before we go, I'll put you on the spot. I'll give you one question you can ask us.
One question.
Stay close to home. Just stay close. Go on. Yeah, John's been a homer all day, so why don't you be a homer?
I mean, I don't got anything. What do you?
You're Clarkston.
Let's give the love.
I'm waiting for a Clarkston question.
Hey, we're gonna give the love to the hometown Clarkston Wolverines. Give me
the Wolverines.
Wolves.
I was gonna say, what?
Sorry. That's another home reference.
Yeah.
Michigan Wolverines.
I know they have the wing helmet. I know.
It's the same thing. What do we think?
I like
Ron
them
Wade.
a lot. I know
like
I
them
said
too.
it earlier. I think this isn't the same team that went to Heartland and was overmatched last year, and they were. They were overmatched. I think the boys would probably admit it. I mean, Heartland just jumped on them early and often. I think these guys are a year older. I love that whole line, Wade and Croston and Lynch. They've been getting good goaltending.
Yep.
I think coach is in it for the long haul as well. You know, and this is. Look, here's another example. Aren't they coochie coo? Let's pinch their cheeks, and they're yelling out their starting lineup. They've graduated to usual suspects. I mean, they've been in the top 10 all year. So it's a big step to take that next step, though. It is, especially when you have to get past a team like Heartland with the championship pedigree that they have. I like Heartland. I'm not going to lie, but I'll repeat what I said about 5 hours ago when the show first started. I don't think that Heartland's going to roll over them like they did last year.
Yeah,
and they did. They kind of rolled over them.
It's been super cool. You talk about taking that next step. When I was going to school there, Clarkson hockey wasn't really
hit the siren
relevant,
on that one when
right?
I was back in school.
Yeah, when I was but
Back
they
in
weren't
my
relevant.
day.
And now they've that was 3 years ago. And now they've already come
It's
upon.
amazing.
It's
Oh,
awesome.
it's huge. It
And it's
really
all
is.
a part, though, to like you were saying earlier, the kids going and playing for their high school teams and not the AAAs.
And that's the coolest thing. I remember when we had the guys in, was it Lemke, and I forget who else was in last year, and they
the
came
starting
in
lineup.
studio with us, and that's what they said. They were like, there are a lot of guys, and we just kind of made the decision, we want to represent, and it makes all the difference in the world. And look at all the pub they're getting. Hey, guys, you wouldn't be getting that pub elsewhere. I mean, and it's pretty cool, and they deserve that pub as well. So best of luck to them and everybody else out there.
Yeah, good luck to all the teams in the regional. So next week's hockey time will be back to normal. It will be taped on Monday. We'll edit the show. It'll be a nice little 20-minute
Can Robbie come in studio with us?
Yeah, Robbie can guest host. He can slam the rock and ride.
He's just rock and ride.
But we
Danny
do,
and Chuck and Kevin come too.
yeah, we can all make it a group effort.
Yay.
Get Lou in here.
Yay.
Coach Merchant can come in here. You guys
Come
can
on
talk
in.
about
We'll talk
slap
about
shot.
slap shot, absolutely. And
But-
Hanaran.
Yeah, so we'll thank you very much, Robbie. Thank you,
thank
Sean,
you.
as always. Danny, our social media manager, Chuck, Kevin, the rest of the State Champs staff, and Sean, you're the legend. I just have to say right now,
Where did that come from?
you are the legend.
I'm
man.
no legend or nothing of the sort. I want to go breathe some cool air, though.
Yeah.
Can we say goodbye and say see you at the rink?
Yeah, we can say see you at the ring. So,
See you at the ring.
So that is it for State Champs Hockey Time. We'll see you next week.
State Champs Hockey Time is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. The future of education begins at ltu.edu. State Champs Hockey Time is also presented by Alto Equipment, Michigan's #1 construction equipment provider, proudly representing the industry's top brands. Get the right equipment for your project every time with Alto Equipment. Warrior Hockey is proud to support Michigan High School Hockey Player and Goalie of the Year awards. Warrior Hockey is made for this. The Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association, celebrating the 50th anniversary of high school hockey in Michigan. For schedule, scores, and standings, go to the hub, mihshockeyhub.com. The Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. And Michigan Army National Guard, proud sponsor of the Michigan High School Athletic Association.